Good evening. I'd like to call the January 4, 2024 meeting of the Cannon Beach Elementary School Rejuvenation Research Committee to order. Happy New Year, everyone. First on the agenda is approval of minutes for November 2 and 20 meeting. Anybody have corrections or motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
So motion and second, any discussion? All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
So I heard unanimous. Next, we have time for comment. So we have Anna in the room. Would you like to say anything tonight, Jan?
Happy New Year. And yeah,
State your name and address. No, just kidding.
let's keep working.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
And then we have some people online, committee members. Anything, raise your hand if you're online and would like to make public comment. And we do have Todd online. And he's raising his hand.
Yeah, I just wanted everyone to,
who was ill. So go ahead, Todd.
yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to let everyone know that I'm here and sitting in for Richard because he's down with the flu.
Thanks for making the time.
No problem. I'm really honored. Thanks.
How's the weather in Tokyo?
Well, technically I'm in Kyoto. I kept on saying Tokyo, but I'm in Kyoto. It's beautiful. I've had 5 days of sun in a row, so it's been pretty amazing.
Lovely.
It's an amazing place.
Yeah.
It has a lot of vibes similar to Oregon, by the way. So it's pretty amazing.
Everybody hear Todd okay? A little bit low, but
Yeah, I don't know if that's near him. Because I've never played with volume before. Let's see.
Be careful what you play with.
No.
That was probably me. I'm talking into a headset, so it wasn't close to my face. But I'm here and,
right there. So
Better.
yeah, great. I'm here and I'm just sitting in for Richard to try to represent the tribe today.
Thank you.
okay.
Thanks for inviting me. Bye.
So we can move on to the reason we're here, which I hope within an hour and a half we can get this done. So tonight we're looking for consensus on final recommendations to City Council regarding the use philosophy for developing some policy, educational content strategy, and mission statement. And so we're really looking for what to present to council just for approval of the direction that we're going. And then that will provide a starting point for a nonprofit to begin to prepare for operations. So that's where we're at, and that's our mission tonight. So let's jump right in and begin discussion on the use philosophy, which I think, Les, is this is your document, correct?
Yeah, I want to give credit to others, of course, but I probably am the one who had the most hands-on with it. But thanks to Betty and Sam and Carrie, all had great input.
Would you like to do a summary of it, or I'm assuming everyone has read through? Anything you want to point out before we jump in and see if there's additions, changes?
On the use philosophy piece, that's the first part of, and then there's this conceptual fee schedule, which I won't touch on right now, but although there's been some wordsmithing and corrections made, this was essentially what we presented at our last get together. There haven't been any real substantial changes to the content. We still talk more about not increasing traffic and managing our activity schedule toward the shoulder months and the winter months. We talk a little bit about the kinds of events that we may or may not want to hold at this particular facility. But again, there's really not been any change to that I can recall. Betty or Sam, do you agree or have other comments?
I agree. I know Sam had some input in this, and we made some corrections. The one thing I just wanted to make sure is that we're seeing this as a mainly educational facility, so that will draw tourists more than we're thinking of it as an event center. So I just want people to get what we're thinking about this new facility.
Yeah, I hope this answers some questions about concerns about parking and traffic.
But also, can I add? One thing that we wordsmithed on and really emphasized was collaboration with the Art Center,
Yes.
with Historic Center. So we were really emphasizing collaborative language, that we have no intention of taking over any existing agency or group in Cannon Beach, but only are here to enhance those programs.
That's what I got from it, and being clear that.
Is that right, Les? Did you hear me?
Oh, I absolutely did, Carrie. And you're exactly right. That was a primary consideration. I think it comes up more in the next page, the content strategy document, but you're right. I mean, everything that we're trying to do is in collaboration with, not in spite of anybody.
And to avoid competing with, I think.
Right. None of us see that as somehow taking over anything. It's more of an enhancement. More is better.
Okay.
I'm,
Additional comments? Is anything,
I just wanted some clarification on the high, how we're defining high season. It's June 1 through September 30. Is what is in our minutes, and I
Right
wonder
now,
if it
yeah.
would make sense to have those dates in there, that it's the beginning of June through September 30.
What about when we talked about carve outs for like spring break or something like that?
Well, it's low season.
So
Or you're saying you're carving out spring break as a.
we didn't land on anything.
I talked about limiting stuff during spring breaks. Yeah, but I thought the discussion, I thought we kind of agreed that spring break can be sold as.
I don't recall. I just.
I think it's on Les, isn't it on the schedule, on the dummy schedule that you mocked up? Spring break. Is
Yeah, the calendar attachment, which is no one has really seen before. This is new. Betty and I had been looking at documenting all the things that go on in town in some format, and this particular look at it was Sam's idea, and I think it works very well. If you want to go down, it would be it's the next to the last page in the packet, and you can kind of start to see all of the different Cannon Beach events that we've been able to identify. And I want to say up front, these are not intended to all be at Nacoos. None of them may be at Nacoos, although I suspect maybe some will take advantage of the additional space. These are already existing things that go on in our community that we want to fit in with. We don't want to, we don't want to compete with. But anyway, yeah, if you look on the calendar, I've kind of blocked out a 4-week window, mid-March to mid-April, and called that spring break. You could argue, and you can kind of start to see, if you look at the numbers there, what events are already fall within that notional spring break window.
I think you could also use the first line, avoiding single day high traffic events during peak traffic parking use window as the means to look at those other times. Whereas the high season is June to September. So I'm comfortable. That's kind of, where I was looking at this is the fact that we can still call out peak moments, and that's where the calendar helps. And this was something that is when a management team is using this facility, they're going to have a calendar, a huge calendar where they're going to. So this is more of an example of what the operations team would be using as far as the calendar page. So.
What I'm hearing, I think both Sam and Barb, is that in that first bullet point underneath the use philosophy, the first bullet point, avoid single day high traffic events. Maybe we don't need to specify during high season. That's just as applicable during spring break.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then in the second bullet, go ahead and flesh it out more specifically, June 1 through September 30. I think, aren't there 30 days in September? Anyway, those would be easy changes, and it feels like that would clarify things a little bit better.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah, I like that.
That won't be hard to do.
Are you okay with that in terms of, okay.
Any other thoughts, comments, edits, additions?
I don't know if we have different copies, but on the fourth bullet point, misspelled word. So just
Reinforce.
Oh, my gosh.
lead instead of life, I think.
What are you looking at?
Opportunity, reinforce at every opportunity, the life and history of this very special location. I have lead instead of life.
It's on packet, it's fine.
Okay. I get a copy. I have so many copies.
Mine says, okay,
Mine's life.
yeah.
I will say though
Yeah,
that misspelled word gave me no end of trouble. Thank you for everyone who found it.
I know, I think it was picked up 3 times.
But
It just kept.
I just now got it, so. there you go.
We got some good proofreaders here.
Yes. That's what I was laughing about. I can't believe after all those edits that we still missed a word. Okay.
This philosophy section is key to how the contract should be focused on when the city works out a contract.
Yep.
It's also, I think, something that we need to get more in the public's eye,
Yes.
because there's a lot of these that have been difficult for people to understand.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
The parking issue and the peak timing, and there's all kinds of things. I've heard people saying, oh, it's gonna be busy all the time. What we're trying to people with these philosophies.
No, I agree. I mean, that's what we keep hearing, and
I mean, the philosophies are nice, but they don't necessarily put me at ease either. I mean, like, we could,
But this is a guiding
Yeah.
principle for the
Yeah.
contract. The contract is past.
were we gonna, didn't we never gonna look at a draft, or we're ever gonna,
Of a
didn't we
contract,
ask for that a long time ago,
a contract?
to get that moving? No?
Not yet. Not yet.
Because I think it needs to go to city council.
We wanted to get this part
Yeah.
approved by council before we moved ahead with contracts.
I don't know that that's going to be this committee, or whether that's going to be a nonprofit. Whatever it is, if it's the
Legal, it's got to be legal, nonprofit. It's got to have a lot of expertise in there.
I think it would be more important for the nonprofit to work with the council and staff
yes,
than it would be for us to be kind of middle.
Right.
Right.
that's kind of what I was thinking too. that we want to give them this direction and then let them work it out. This makes it a little bit more clear about the recreation that will be available during hours that it's not otherwise in use. Any comments about the conceptual fee schedule?
I think for the stage we're at right now, this is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely gonna need a lot more.
I think the intent is very clear.
Yeah.
And that's what council's looking for.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to try to nail everything, every
Can't.
policy down to the letter and a fee schedule.
Unless
And
we have a yearly calendar, we can't do that.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I tried to, at least for the input that I put into this, look at what all of our comparison organizations, you know, how they tried to operate. And these are fairly consistent among like the Dungeness River Center and some of the other ones that we looked at as far as what kinds of things they provide to the community at no cost versus the ones where they would expect to, you know, make some kind of a profit or at least something in excess of what it costs to turn the lights on. But I have no way of knowing what those actual numbers need to be.
And yes, again, that feels like detail that the nonprofit is going to work out. Anything else on use and fees? Okay,
I think Les did a great job.
Yes, he-
Doing all this in such a succinct
thank you,
format. Thank you, Les.
Les, and all of you
We did a
for,
lot of editing, but he basically put the skeleton in there and we filled it in. So that was great.
it's nice, it's simple. It's not too complicated, like Sam is saying, that we can get some of this out there so people, you know, understand we are addressing concerns about parking and crowding and competition and all of that.
Mhm.
So thank you. Okay, let's move on to educational content strategy. So we've already started to look at the content calendar, but I don't know, is this you, Betty?
Mhm.
Les and I and Sam had some input and Carrie had some input. So it was pretty much a collaborative effort and also a major effort with the tribal members putting effort into this. So, and we talked as a group, our NACUS subcommittee talked about this whole document last time. And so we just took the notes from what you folks said and we added them in and did some wordsmithing. So it's pretty much what we had last time with the revisions that were asked for. And I think we're pretty happy with it. I don't know how you folks feel about it.
I was very happy with it.
Yeah, I
liked it
will
on the
say,
read-through.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Les.
Oh, I was going to say, just as we already kind of talked about, we really tried to showcase the collaboration opportunities in this document. But you know, as particularly when Betty and I were talking about all the different sources of great content that would be available to this NACUS facility. We couldn't mention all of them, even though that we've kind of already identified. So we tried to walk a fine line between making sure that everyone knew that this wasn't just a small group. We didn't think a small group doing their own thing. This could turn into, frankly, a world-class collaborative type organization.
I think so too.
Yes, if I had any comment, it would be on the second bullet point of history and culture, where it talks about interpretive signage within the park. We kind of limit it there to tribal life. And at least for me, I've always considered that to be more a blend of tribal and ecology, as well as history. So if, you know, I think the focus is tribal life and the village, but there's the ecology of the watershed. There's, I mean,
For some reason, I was reading that, so I guess I just missed it in that.
In the ecology section, there is a
Yeah,
second mention of signage for ecology.
yeah.
okay, you're
Yeah,
right.
it's
Yes.
there. It just isn't where you're looking for it.
Yes, you're
It
right.
is there.
I would agree, though, that this is very specific to the tribal life, and you said history of the community.
Right. Yeah.
But that's part of the culture too.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, I picture a sign with the history of Cannon Beach Elementary.
yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
you know, how many years it was open and that kind of.
All the uses, yeah, all the
Yeah.
uses, all the history.
And so at least under history and culture,
Mhm.
a little bit wider there. So it might be about the school, it might be about Lewis and Clark. I mean, there's certainly
One
a
of the-
spot along
one of
the
the
creek
big-
side where you can look across the creek to where their campsite is pinpointed on the map that Clark drew.
One of the considerations we had when we were figuring this out was to be very careful not to step on the History Museum's toes, because they have always been where you find out about the Cannon Beach history. And I agree with Barb, we could have a sign showing how the school was, but we were very conscious when we were writing this not to make it, you understand what I'm trying to say. We didn't want it to be overpowering. That's for that group.
Yeah, I think it's the site-specific history that we're
Yeah,
really looking at.
And maybe that's the way to say it, is that there's gonna be interpretive signage for what you just said.
Yes, historical, site-specific.
Right. And then that takes care of the school, the tribe. You know, the past history. of the
Yes.
site.
I think some collaboration would happen with the History Center to create the site. So even though it's going to be on the site, they would have helped to put it together.
Yeah.
So that would be my sense of where the collaboration, and that's down in a further bullet point.
Is this another less working document?
I don't think it's gonna be I don't think it's gonna be an issue to have to, you want to amend that before we move forward?
I think we're agreed on some kind of adjustment to that.
But it'd be very easy just to put in the signage paragraph that we are looking for collaboration on ecology and history also.
Yes, site-specific history.
Site-specific
Jan?
ecology and history.
That's what I'm getting to. And so does Les have the working document on this?
I do,
Okay,
and I'm taking notes. Be happy to make any of these changes as soon as we finish up.
so yes, you've got something on adding site-specific history, such as the school, Lewis and Clark, to that portion.
Yep, I've got it.
Okay. Jan, you have something now?
Just make sure that we don't forget the haystack program in the arts that was there at the school. Site specific, because so many people bring that up and it's
It's the summer program.
the summer program.
Okay.
PSU haystack program?
Yeah.
Now that
that
was
would be good
before
to
my
have.
time. How would I What, could somebody give me some suggestions on how that might be recognized in here?
If it says site-specific history, that's in there.
Yeah, I think site-specific history could be enough. If you want to call out school, I think that would cover the PSU program.
Okay,
And Lewis and Clark specifically, is probably, we probably don't need to get into that much detail here, but
okay.
Todd had had his hand up earlier too. I don't know if he still wanted to say something.
Todd, did you have a comment?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think it's really neat how we're talking about working with these other groups, which is so important. And, with QR codes and advertising, this can be kind of a dissemination of information. So not taking people from those places and things, but actually informing people and driving them to the place through information, because it is kind of the gateway. And that would be where they could stop and get information to all the events like the historical group and whatnot.
Yes.
I mean, that information center exists to do just that as well.
Say that again.
The information center exists to do that very job as well. Just saying.
I mean, is that a concern of yours that,
What do you know?
I think it is.
I think as many sources pointing to as many learning opportunities, it can't be bad.
It's one of those things that I think we would find a board that is aware of those things and can address the fact that there is a fine line between advertising the community, which is the chamber's job, the information center's job, and advertising the benefit of the site as far as the history of the site and the ecology of the site. So I don't know, I'm hoping that we find the right people that can help drive that. If not,
I think that Cannon Beach has many, many points of dissemination of information. The grocery stores, the hotels, the restaurants, the gift shops. And there's no reason to say that this center shouldn't be a dissemination of information also. So it's not only a dissemination of information, but it's a gathering place. So it has multi-purposes. So I think it's better that we don't skip over the opportunity to disseminate information, saying, oh, well, if you were only interested in information, you should go to the information center because nobody else is going to tell you anything.
Yeah, I kind of see a lot of this as where just about every educational thing that we present says for more information,
Right?
for more. And we push people to the history center to whatever might be appropriate.
the thing is, yeah, for them, the operators of this Bar Nikus facility, they're probably going to go to the information center to disseminate their information first anyhow.
But it's all a collaboration.
That's the thing. I was just rereading second main paragraph. Collaboration with content experts. Kind of the idea. So I'm hoping we can get these concepts across carefully enough, both to the board that will be operating this facility and to the council, that there is a back and forth there.
Mhm.
Yeah, that list in that paragraph could certainly go on about other partners to collaborate with, but I think it gets that point across.
Is there anybody that sees something missing in that group? in that second paragraph?
An organization?
Right.
Seems like other places uh, there's National Park Service. There's,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Haystack Rock Awareness Program.
This came up last meeting. I think we run into trouble when we start listing too many.
Yeah,
Right.
I,
Yeah,
And
right.
then you run into the problem of who did you forget?
right.
How did you add?
But I guess my question is more, is there any glaring things that you think we have forgotten?
I think it's
Are
a
you-
very easy thing to add to. So. it
Are
just
we
says, you
talking
know,
about, sorry, are we talking about these suggestions, they're not intended to be a complete list?
Right,
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean, it
Right.
says,
exactly,
the
Betty.
second paragraph says such as. So
Yeah,
it's really just providing an example.
And this
But
is,
certainly later on, it says work with National Park Service and Lewis Park National Historic Park and
we were very
Oh.
careful to try to, anybody that we had done research on that had been working on this for years, we were trying to make sure their names got in there somehow. But when we said and others, we were just knowing that I'm sure we left somebody out. But anyway, we realized there's been lots and lots of hours of work just trying to make this happen. So we don't want anybody to feel left out.
if there's anything left out in that, I would say we've got arts, culture, and history covered there, but ecology, we haven't mentioned any such as. So, I mean, that might be a case for mentioning Haystack Rock Awareness Program or
North Coast Land Conservancy,
Or,
North Coast Land. Conservancy.
uh-huh. Do you guys want to pop those in there?
Well, we have where it says ecology right there, it says working closely with
Oh, it
HREP
does. Uh-huh,
It does.
uh-huh.
and Jenna. Jenna is a collaboration of a lot of different nonprofits.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
right.
know if we needed to add on to that also, but if you
No.
want to, it's easy enough.
I think
yeah, no, I keep pointing out these things that they're all
they're there.
just in another place.
Yeah. And I think we need to remember too, this is a working document
Absolutely.
and there's going to be revisions. This is not a final draft.
I think that the challenge comes when we're trying to explain it to the rest of the council,
Right.
that these open-ended concepts are here.
Mhm.
And this is not a final document.
Right.
I understand.
Yeah.
So, well, we can do our best to make that clear that we're looking for general direction or general approval and that it's really meant as a starting point.
I think, again, I'm going to repeat the fact that you want to avoid creating a list of associates because you're going to miss somebody.
Yeah,
That's worse than not naming everybody that you want to name. So it's better that this is less specific than it is more specific.
anything further on educational and content strategy?
The section that's titled the arts. In one of our prior get-togethers, I think Betty and I realized that we really were focused more on historical or ecological aspects, and we really hadn't thought about the arts. And I'm curious how the group feels about the way that we've characterized the arts, how they are going to play out within the whole NACUS offering.
I think you've handled it well.
I just think it leaves an open door.
Yeah, I mean,
what if the art center needs a bigger place? What if, something
I
comes
think,
about, it just leaves an open door that we're not gonna shut out the arts, that we're have an open door to the arts. But in no way do we want to compete with the art center, so.
I look at the Arts Association and some of the things they do. I believe that the summer camp they do at the church.
Right, but it used to always be at the elementary school.
And probably a much better spot, not that we expect them to, or,
Mhm.
but. I mean, I would think that they would want to do it, to use the site. I don't know. Andrew could speak to 12 Mile Arts Colony. I know there's already some of the art in the park kinds of things that have been done. Other thoughts?
I think the way that this is worded is better than the other ones, the other two sections, because this one is more.
Mhm.
It allows for expansion, it allows for exploration of what the arts are, it allows for the music. So this one actually is kind of our catch-all for everything else. All you have to do is figure out a way for it to define under whatever the arts are. Jan's comment about mentioning the Lewis and Clark program, when that happened, that was all arts, because it came from the Lewis and Clark arts culture or something directly.
Wasn't it George?
PSU.
PSU and George Fox University.
Yeah.
For some years too.
Let's say,
Yeah,
It changed.
right.
and it just dawned on me that Tom Taylor created a movie about that.
Yeah.
So if we could find that, that'd be a great way to bring back to history.
Yeah.
But there are connections there with a whole mess of other resources. Just through naming the things we want. These 3 bullet points included.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like, we've gone out of our way to list all the organizations we're not going to compete with or collaborate with, but we haven't discussed at all business community. It's not in there.
And why do you see that as an issue or a topic? The business community, why is the business community a topic?
Why is it a topic?
Why is it a topic? Yes.
Why should we carve them out? Are we going to compete with them too?
What are we missing?
Well, there's nothing in any of these documents that talked about rentals of the space, right? Let's say somebody wanted to do a team of lawyers wanted to get together and had their annual award dinner or something like that.
Right?
We would be competing with other rentals in town. But we don't talk about that at all.
Where would you suggest we?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just like, I know.
that would go back to the previous document.
The very first one.
So, yeah, so really this has to do with the use of space. So that we will do events on request. So actually, we're going back after we close that topic to
There's the previous
the use of
document,
space,
enhance and support our business community.
right?
Provide available space for rental subject to availability and consideration of our other use philosophy points.
This is a market-driven demand use available space.
Well, it's not market driven because
It is market-driven because the
built by the government and not the.
event at that particular site. It's like any other venue
Market
competition.
driven.
It's like the information center, the commerce center competing with a hotel meeting space. So the information center the chamber has their space. Oh, and wait a minute, the lawyers decide they want to buy out, Driftwood Restaurant. And they say, sure. So are they competing with Hallmark for their space? Yep. Because it's a demand use It's like any other venue. It's a demand use.
I think the
If people
chamber-
want to rent it and it's available, they have the choice of venues, just like they do all over. Tullabana, Hallmark, all of them are open.
The chamber is probably the best example of where they're competing.
Hey, Bistro's sold out for wedding receptions.
Yeah, but the bistro isn't built by government.
You're talking about businesses.
I think,
The chamber was built by public dollars. What if they don't decide to have it in the city park and decide to have it in a gym instead? Is that a competition?
I think what we're forgetting here is the availability of the space for other rentals comes after we've scheduled all of the other stuff that is within our philosophy. So when you have an open space available that you just can't get before, then it's there now available for use or rent. I see where Carrie's coming from, and that then becomes a competitive space for that narrow window within the community. So yes, it is a competitive space. It is, I can understand the fact that it is a new facility that has been subsidized, created by our public funding. But still, that's something we could rent this room out, if we wanted to. We don't because it's ugly.
Right.
But
So there's no demand for the space.
so we
Because it's- yeah.
that might be able to draw in some extra resources, but I don't see that as a use philosophy or an educational content. That is a leftover that we could maybe draw in some extra funding from because we have holes in the calendar. And I think that is something that we need to tell and make sure that both the council and the new board understand that those windows of opportunity start getting bigger just because they're profitable. The use philosophy is king. And the windows happen when they happen. So, but I understand where you're coming from. You don't want to compete with the chamber, which it will.
It will.
It is a nice,
And the hotels, which it will.
but
And maybe surf sand.
And yeah, and
it will.
and the park because it rains and then people want to move inside.
Competition. They're competing with each other already. So if they think that this is going to hurt their business, I can't imagine we would undercut them. We're going to price it. That's what we've stated, is we're going to try and price it within the market rate. So
That's what I've been looking for. That was
yeah, it's
the underscoring the statement. I just don't see it in there.
And I see it as some of it just,
market rate comparable facilities. So
Where's that?
conceptual NACO's fee schedule, bullet point 3, last line. No, not last line, first line. It's only 2 lines.
That's something different.
That's that change.
No, it's
No,
there.
it's still there.
It's still there.
and I also see this as being enhance and support our business community. If we're talking about potentially bringing in
Right. The lawyers that never would come before because they need to have a space.
and where are they staying?
Yeah, and where are they staying and where?
And where are they eating?
Transporting them and what are all the other things that are going to enhance the community? So it is a win-win for this community to bring in more business, to provide a bigger space.
I mean, it's, Andrew's making a point that we want to
I think it will all be collaborative, Gary. I don't think that there's
Yeah,
going to be, I just.
generally, I
don't
think
That,
too.
the tone or concept of this at all as a private venue that's competing with other private venues. This is a public venue, so.
I have been trying to think about things along these lines as well. And I really have a hard time making a broad cover everything statement, but in my mind, for example, the stormy weather, the art event that that the galleries themselves put on, I can't imagine why they would want to use the NACU's facility, but I hope that they come up with a reason, but I don't think we're competing with that kind of business initiated event just because we exist.
Probably only to enhance it.
Well,
Because
they say
there
it-
could
maybe
be
they-
some kind of grand gathering that just can't be done anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, it's a chamber event, but the galleries do their own thing.
Which they should, and then possibly they could enhance that program with adding with a big reception.
It adds the possibility of perhaps an art exhibit.
Right.
I'd just say other art exhibits in the classrooms,
Mhm.
but tied to the theme of NACUS.
And they've used Coaster Theater for some entertainment, but this last year, the street entertainment got stormed out.
Yeah,
So I mean, it could potentially be a location.
right. And with a no alternate, how many of those people want to come back the following year when they've already carved out that time to be out here? And hopefully make some money or, connection or whatever. It'd be so wonderful to have that alternate.
Well, Jan, what do you have?
Okay, I do have a concern with what was brought up with Andrew about, I mean, I know all of you have very admirable intentions, but what worries me is how do we as a community ensure that over time, this facility doesn't gradually get whatever the word is, that the original intention gets abused in some way, which I have seen in other places somewhat, and I am concerned, how can we make sure that this doesn't get whatever the word is, it doesn't get lost in time, and we're not always gonna be here either. But this is really key, in my opinion, that we find a way to do that legally. I don't know, but I really think it's important. And I think part of the fear of this whole situation that we're in right now with the NACUS facility is that people are worried that this will in time be misused. Or maybe people don't even at this point in time fully understand what this group is trying to put together to give to the council, that they will do the right thing. But I think if we as a community could somehow find a way to ensure that this stays pure, the intention, and how do we do that? That's the question.
I don't know if there's, language that,
So there's no way to do that because the new council could come in.
Right, and decide they.
Say they're gonna have a
The
carnival.
bylaws are for in nonprofits.
Okay, that's
That's why you do an legal document, statement and bylaws, so that and then you have a board of directors and they have to adhere to the mission statement and the bylaw.
and that's what we're doing is providing some of the framework for policy here.
Yeah.
So Sam, what do you have?
There's two ways also that I see. One is the contract.
Yeah.
The
Right.
contract is the legal document that will help verify the philosophy and the strategy that we're putting forward.
Right.
So we have to make sure that that works.
yeah.
The other one is.
And that's something that will be reviewed. Yeah.
We can set that time span out,
Right.
out of ways too.
Yeah.
The other way is to initially create the culture that we want there. As long as that culture starts, it gets harder to change.
Okay,
So that's more on the public using the space and the board operating the space the way we're trying to present it here also. So it's very awkward that we are these middle guys that are trying to give the council the initial concept of the contract. Now we're going to have to create a board and we're going to have to give them these documents and say, hey, this is where we're headed also.
But that's exactly the oversight that's built in. So we are the concept. And then you create the mission statement, which we need to approve tonight. And then you have oversight. And so that's how you sustain your model.
I think it's good to acknowledge that that's a concern.
Yes.
Uh,
And that's why we talked about keeping it within city parameters and not letting it loose as its own entity, as a singular nonprofit that's out on their own, because then they will continue to have city oversight. And you're right, city can change their mind. But, and so it goes.
And actually, I'd be more concerned about a new council coming in and changing things. So that would be my concern. So that's where the contract locks both parties in.
Right.
Yes, the contract can be remodeled, but that goes through a public hearing process. So you get, then the public comes in and says, and
Okay.
I think it's important for us to acknowledge it. I think we also need to recognize that people are always going to argue that it's going to
Somebody's gonna mess it up. Somebody's gonna.
that, everything we heard, even though we've, talked about the use, we talked about the parking, and we're making adjustments and policies. Everything is still going to be thrown at this, for people who don't want to see it happen. I think that's just the kind of the reality of where we're at. But I do think it is important for us to acknowledge all of these things.
I just want to add that these two concepts, the philosophy and the strategy, can fulfill however the structure finally winds up to be. So the changes in the structure, one way or the other, these are still locked in. And the spaces, the use, the facility can be using the same philosophy.
Do we see anything that we should change to strengthen this at all?
I gave Les all my stuff.
Say that again?
I gave all Les all my comments and
Okay.
we worked it out great. So personally, I really appreciate these documents.
Mhm.
And I do like adding the calendar, but that's more of a informational thing
Yes.
because that's an example.
And exactly right.
It's
But we
not-
are exactly right. It is an example of how it can
Interpretive signage. We're making one change in, under history and culture, interpretive signage.
Yes.
I've got that
Okay.
change already noted. And then I just let me clarify. At one point in the second paragraph, there was a conversation around adding an ecologically focused organization such as Ape Trap to that short list. Did that kind of get pulled off the table?
I don't think it would be a bad idea, just so the ecology,
Time.
the ecology portion is covered. There's a such as, covering the ecology portion, but
So yes,
so yes.
insert it one more time.
I got it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we're back to the content strategy. Does anybody have any additional comments? Okay. Then I have done some minor edits to the mission statement. And I made one after it was submitted.
Hopefully
For the packet. No,
Oh,
it was about recreation. So the last line where it says provide a public gathering space for events, comma, recreation and education is because recreation didn't get mentioned in there at all. But would you like to recommend an edit on the ecology portion? And we've got,
I thought we had agreed to include ecology, the word
Okay.
ecology.
just
So-
word ecology, we've got educate,
Are you happy? So what you're saying is you need ecology in there as well as nature?
we've got coastal environments, and we've got nature. So
Right. So we need to stick ecology in there too? Or can we just substitute ecology for nature?
That's what I'm thinking. So
you're the editor.
so keep it consistent with what we have for our strategy. So take the word nature out and put it.
And and put ecology in, and that keeps all all of them consistent.
Would we want to think about maybe putting education, blah, 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 events and recreation at the
Yes.
end? Or do we want it to be events and recreation in the beginning?
I actually agree with that. I agree with what Betty just said, that we should start out with education, culture, ecology, and finish with events because it is a lesser priority on our list.
And I understand, and I guess the way it's phrased the way it is because the education comes with an emphasis on local culture, ecology, and the arts.
Okay.
So I'm not sure that is it by the order of it, giving
Okay.
more prominence to events? Or
That's what my question was. Is that naturally in our mind, or is it just something that we can not worry about?
So we're adding, let me just clarify that because I'm putting recreation in there also.
for events, comma, recreation and education with an emphasis on local culture, ecology, and the arts.
And keeping it in that order because Gary's argument is, since it says gathering space, we should put it in that order.
And it's not even an argument, it's just, I'm explaining why it's that way.
Right.
But,
Does that make sense?
Personally, I would be happy with recreation and education. Pitch events, because event isn't similar to the terms.
And that's a
recreation.
secondary, it's not a primary.
Well, it's also not, it's almost a,
Not even necessary because
they-
it's understood it's gonna be
yeah,
happening.
something.
I would keep it in there.
Would it,
I would-
no, say that again, I think you're right on.
No, I think you could keep it in there.
Provide a public gathering space for recreation and education.
Yeah.
With an emphasis on local culture and the arts. That's our goal.
Right.
and leaving events out of it completely?
Now we can put events in there.
An event is any one of those things,
Yeah.
an educational.
Yeah.
True. It's true.
It's an app for. Not even something that.
So you're saying, and provide a gathering space for recreation and education with an emphasis on local culture, ecology, and the arts.
I would, another little note, this is with the emphasis. Instead of an emphasis.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that specifies it's
Yeah.
one of those three.
Well, that definitely de-emphasizes events, but
But it also takes out private events too. So, because then it takes it to, it's only for education, culture, ecology, and arts.
yeah, I'm a little concerned.
So
about
then
that.
you have no ability to have a private event there if you wanted to. If
Or a
you,
community event.
or a community event, you've actually narrowed the scope of what you can do with the space. I think that
So if you have a group of lawyers,
right,
we start
exactly.
this thing.
Andrew gave us
with
a
it.
great example.
Okay, they're meeting for education, continuing education. So do we need to have the word event in there because they're
Certainly not as a primary. I think Sam's language was spot on.
And if you're having a concert, that's recreation.
That's the
It's
arts.
also an event.
Well,
It's also culture.
let's come back to primary and secondary uses. I mean, maybe my reason for putting education last is not valid. And we can do it, provide a public gathering space for education with an emphasis on local culture, ecology, and the arts, recreation, and events. That could be community events.
I think
like-
the order doesn't make any difference unless it's specified, the order, they're all on equal footing.
Right, it doesn't say the
Yes.
primary source.
Just because it's
is-
after the second comma doesn't mean it's any less important than
Right.
the first unless you.
Right, unless you
Note
use the
that.
word primary.
Yeah.
I still think we should put events in there.
Theoretically, but again, I still think Sam said it was good.
I've always had a trouble with events because it is a generic term.
Right. Defined by all the criterion that have been set forth. So, and I think that I don't want to remove it. I think that it's important to keep it in there as a placeholder for consideration by the board going forward when they accept.
Yeah, and I would remove it because it doesn't mean anything for the mission.
Well, one of the things we
I
were,
don't want that to be part of it.
Well, it's almost implied.
What, Betty?
one of the things we were concerned about in the very beginning was how do we limit events that we are not in our philosophy? And so this sort of defines events as being, primarily the things that we've said after the emphasis on. That helps us keep out I think it might help us keep out some of the things we don't want. I don't know. I think it's good because it says we want to focus on, culture, nature, arts, education, recreation.
Yeah.
Those are all happy things.
But we can have events on those topics that aren't education. That's my concern.
Mhm.
Oh, I see.
But that's covered in the philosophy.
Yeah.
You don't have to say in a mission statement that you're
Right, your
not
mission.
having something. You have the ability to keep a schedule.
So so what you're saying is this is safe to do as a priority. The priority will be, but not exclusive to.
Right.
Is that fair?
Yeah. As a mission statement.
Right, as a mission
Have all
statement, it's a
these-
priority of, but not exclusive to. Okay,
That is redefined or in detail in your
fine,
um
yeah,
post event.
in our outlines, yeah. All right,
Want to keep a mission statement. Really. And this is a nice, simple one, and I think
And there's a lot of people that say it should be less than 10 words.
Yeah, I think it's too long.
But we worked, Seaside Scholarships has
the last one I did.
has a great one, opening doors to education.
Yeah.
4 words.
that's a tight
Mission statement or
That's
that's
our-
a slogan.
No, that's our mission statement.
So where are you at with taking events out, Barb?
I think I'm okay with
Okay.
taking it out.
So, and provide a
That's-
public gathering space for recreation and education with an emphasis on local culture, ecology, and the arts.
With the emphasis.
With the emphasis,
either one works.
I've got it now.
Sizing.
Yeah.
I changed it to the.
Yeah, I think.
I'm good.
At one point through this,
Should say
our
prioritizing instead of emphasizing.
Let's go ahead.
I was gonna say, at one point,
If you say.
someone was reading this out and had dropped the word public, and it was just provide a gathering space. I actually like that better, but I'm curious how others might feel about it. I don't think public adds anything to that statement.
No, I've been going back and forth thinking about, it's weird that the word tourism isn't in there. But even though I don't want it in there, it's
I don't think we
be in
need
my
it.
bonnet from the very start, but for what you're saying, Les, I agree.
I don't think tourism needs to be in there.
No, I don't either. But I think public, you're right, Les, it could just be taken out and it still would have the same
So-
meaning.
Remove public. Anybody disagree with that? Gone.
We're gonna get it down to 4 words.
Watch your name these.
It'll be our first fundraiser.
Anything else on mission statement?
I mean, the word, the understanding part always should be fire understanding and stewardship. If we're gonna just be cutting words and you do, understanding is
It's,
mushy.
well, it's a backup word for education.
Yeah, where's the word? We don't have the word, oh, yeah, we do later.
Instead of understanding.
The whole thing could be workshopped into your
Learning.
answers list. I think it's a little unwieldy.
Could it be learning? And stewardship?
Well, once again, I feel like this is, you know, a
Appreciation.
first draft that we're giving to somebody to start with. So, I mean,
Would you read the new?
it's all the same until last semicolon, and provide a gathering space for recreation and education with an emphasis on local culture, ecology, and the arts.
Great.
Can we just say arts and education emphasizing local culture? You could cut four, you could trade one word for four there.
Say that again.
After the word education, comma, emphasizing local culture, nature, and the arts.
Instead of with and.
With an
Emphasize.
emphasis on.
You get to take out with and.
With the education, comma, emphasizing
Local.
local culture, ecology, and the arts.
Mhm.
You could probably take out the from the arts too.
Go one more time.
So, semicolon, and provide a gathering space for recreation and education, emphasizing local culture, ecology, and arts. All right. Any additional comments?
One comment, the word understanding for me, when I reread it, stewardship is more an action word, and understanding to me is, why would you do stewardship if you didn't understand the importance of it? So I kind of think of it that way. So if we can think of another word besides understanding, but I think that whole the reason people don't take care of the environment is because they don't understand it. So I think it's an important concept, even if that's not the word we use.
Good point.
Are you recommending taking out understanding and just say inspire stewardship? Because
No,
I'm fine with that too.
I'm recommending leaving it because I think it's it's more like stewardship is action and understanding is the reason why you're going to do the stewardship.
Yeah, Betty, Sam just said that, and I think it was, is understanding is another word for education, so we didn't say it twice.
Yeah, that's kind
So
of,
you've got understanding is the education that leads to stewardship.
Oh, okay, good. All right.
so that's good the way it is. Inspire understanding and stewardship
Yeah, I think we need both of those.
of our coastal environment and provide a gathering space for recreation and education, emphasizing local culture, ecology, and arts.
Yay.
Again, it's a draft.
We're
I
good.
think we've hammered a draft pretty well.
Well, I mean, like, imagine, imagine somebody asks you on your feet. I mean, again, it's just a draft and it'll get refined, but it asks you on your feet, what does it do? You're not gonna give a 3 semicolon.
No.
You want to have a
Right.
more succinct answer to that. But it'll get there.
Yeah, I think the way it's written now captures what we're trying to start. And it aligns with the other
It
document.
aligns with the other documents, which is key.
It does kind of spell out maybe more than just a general philosophy statement.
Right.
does
Or a
more
banner
spell out what
statement,
we've
yeah.
talked about. All right,
I mean, but
so we have use philosophy, we have educational content strategy, and we have a draft mission statement. Do we need to officially adopt these for presentation to council, or do we feel like we've got consensus? Anything you feel like is necessary?
I'm gonna defer to Barb on this one. Because I mean, you are a task force. I don't know if you want a motion or if it's consensus is good.
I think consensus is.
Okay.
Mhm.
Do we have do we have consensus or any opposition to the three documents as we've amended them here?
Just as long as we know that if the council does a lot of noodling and changing, it comes back to us for rework. I think that's important because our understanding of these documents is I think and very,
I think that's a
I
good
think
point.
that's where the consensus is. That's where I think a vote would be stronger in saying that. So
And maybe the motion could include that if there's major revisions after presented to the council, that it comes back to this committee.
I'd entertain a motion such as that. Sam?
I will move that we forward this to, these documents to the city council.
Revised.
The revised documents.
Revised documents to the city council for their input. And if they have, it comes back to us.
Jen, you have it?
Sam moves that we forward these revised documents to the city council for their input, and if they have revisions, it comes back to us.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. In favor?
Aye.
Aye. I heard unanimous again.
Did everybody vote?
no, I didn't vote.
I was gonna say.
I am so,
Any opposed?
I'm staying.
Abstaining.
Abstain, abstention. Okay. So, I think we've got our marching orders for presenting the second portion to council. And I'm not sure we should even schedule a future meeting until we can get that.
I second that.
No more meetings?
So I can put this on the February work session? Is that what you guys would like?
I think so. I'm
Okay.
not sure what that agenda looks like, but
So far, we have two items.
okay, let's get it on there.
CBE. Yes, advisory committee.
Kind of order, I guess. At one point, we were going to talk about how the formation board would happen. We want to continue with that concept or wait for the missions approved.
Feels to me like we should get approval of this direction.
And but if it's just proven that conversation, when would that happen if we're not scheduling another meeting?
After.
Well, as soon as it gets approved, then Jennifer will send out a questionnaire, find out when we can have another meeting.
Mhm.
Because you might have to have a meeting to discuss council revisions anyways.
Mhm.
Well, I think if we want to talk about it, we should just schedule a time to talk about it or not, because I'm happy to put this to bed. But I could see it just kind of floating on by
And
without that discussion happening.
what I'm thinking happen is that after this has been approved, that there's another committee formed that's going to deal with the nonprofit aspect of it, because there's still a lot of work left to do.
Yeah, this is a research and advisory committee, so we're kind of moving to another phase at that point. And get into action, so.
We did talk about it before, that's all.
Right. Yeah.
Curious. We're gonna provide some information and we have some background information,
Yeah, we've got a nice guideline of how to form the nonprofit.
but that would be up to you two to present that to the council.
Right.
Say, okay, we're gonna do the next phase.
Right.
And we've already got go ahead that concept of management is the direction they want us to pursue. It's really going to be then a matter of, okay, what are the next steps in it? Is it actually formation of a board? Is there some kind of another committee that is formed that may become the board?
And is there legal stuff, putting in bylaws and stuff? So you have to look at the parameters of what's required to put it together.
And is that something that we want to ask council, the full council about?
I think so. Yeah. But if anybody here on this committee has a strong feeling about the types of people we're going to look for to be on the board, it might be a good idea to have that discussion.
Yeah, we could use our last 10 minutes to chat about the way we see that process working.
I had that original idea. I don't have it in front of me right now, so
It was a representative from
it's kind of requesting nominations from 5 regions, 5 concepts,
Entities?
not entities specifically.
And you want something, when you wrote it, it was good. It was like business and nonprofit and,
Tribal,
right?
Tribal
Right.
representative, a chamber representative, city council representative.
Mhm.
Art
Mhm.
and
education.
can't remember what the other one was, food and education. But using entities in town that represent those things to nominate folks, not specifically from their organization,
Right.
but just nominate folks who they think would be beneficial in that concept for the initial board.
I think that's something like that is why to avoid it getting stacked in one way or another.
Yeah, the problem is that my idea was the 5 concepts. So that you're not running into, we've got the Arts Association, we've got Total Amount of Arts, we've got the other arts thing,
Gallery group.
gallery.
Right.
And so which one do you choose? Well, they could collaborate if they wanted to. Same thing with the environmental folks. So in that sense, the only one that's really hard and fast is the tribal organization.
Right.
And the council and the chamber.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
chamber could also be the business group, but so there's a sense there that you're getting representation from those concepts and how they fit into this document, actually.
can you list the ones that you're talking about? You're talking about somebody from the arts, somebody from environment, somebody from tribal, somebody from business.
Mhm.
Chamber is the one.
Chamber.
Mhm.
Chambers, the business, and then the public would have been from the city council.
History.
History was the tribal.
Okay. But the history center people,
That's you don't want more than 5.
okay.
But
It can be under education too.
It could be 7.
It could be under education too. I don't know.
Yeah, we could say up in the bylaws, say up to 7 members, a minimum of 5, 7.
So potential history in there.
I have, what about people that are just in the community that are very positively working for this?
That's the council. The council would nominate that person,
Okay.
right, Sam? That's what you meant?
Betty's asking about people in the community. Theoretically, I'll use Total Amount of Arts as an example. If they're not picking somebody from their own board or their own membership, they can find somebody that they know who is very interested in this project that has a appreciation of the arts.
Yeah, it doesn't limit it to, it's just a nomination.
Yeah, just a nomination.
And it's not in any way beholden to members of that organization.
Well, it's a good way to get representation in the project.
And honestly, like, I think a lot of the people would probably look outside of their, I mean, like, they may want to have someone as a backstop to protect their organization, but then again, they're already volunteering and they find their job fulfilled and they're good.
Well, and we also have to think about, the burnout
Yeah.
of volunteers, which I think a lot of our organizations are feeling right now is that.
That's just kind of a way that Cannon Beach at large is. If you
Well,
think about like the
it's not
people
just-
working on
Not just Cannon Beach.
well, sure, but for our purposes, that's what.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be really nice to get some people that, like Betty said, that aren't on boards right now, but still are very dedicated and.
That is a concern about getting a good, solid board that can provide the oversight for this and follow what we've done here.
It also puts the difficult part of asking for people to volunteer onto an organization. If I had asked for it on our arts, people find somebody. Great. But, it's just one of those things. But you also get different areas of concern within the community.
Right.
And then you are incorporating a baseline of knowledge and understanding of what would be necessary and a history of what's happening already.
Well, let's ask council to weigh in on that concept and how we can get there.
If I can find my original documents, it's just, so you have something to
I
write.
think it's in
there somewhere.
and it's in the minutes too, I think. Yeah.
All right. Do we have anything additional for good of the order?
Can I just mention, I would need everyone's revised documents at the latest by February 2nd, but it's okay to send them when you get them done. You can send them early.
Particularly ready to send mine. I think I'm editing.
Watch this stuff
They'll-
come across your inbox right now.
Perfect. They'll go into a folder
That should be fast.
and sit there until we're ready.
Yeah.
If just as a aside,
You got that, Les?
I've got mine ready to go.
Like I said.
Okay, you'll have them all tonight.
the one sentence mission statement is, it's something along the lines of sharing the tribal and ecological history of the site, of the Nakus site. That's it. Could be neater than that, better than that, but that's the one, like the 10 words or less. Just, I think,
An elevator comment when somebody asks what it is.
just so you don't have to memorize a whole
Yeah.
paragraph.
I mean, it certainly does leave out some of the things that we're trying to spell out as far as
But those,
education,
But just-
but
but sharing, that's educating.
yeah.
I had a
Just a
friend,
thought. I mean,
I had a friend tell me that whenever I send something out, it should only be one page. So I printed something out in 10 point.
Yes, nobody can read it.
Get the magnifying.
Well, I would like to thank,
Repeat your one sentence.
Sharing the tribal and ecological history of the Nakus. I hate the word site, but
village,
Location.
location, whatever.
location, village.
One more.
Yeah, you should be able to get, be able to get your mission statement on a fortune cookie wrapper.
I've got 9 words.
Where did that come from?
Barb, did you have
Oh, I just
something you're
wanted,
just gonna say?
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for all the work that you've done for creating these documents. It hasn't been always easy, but thank you.
Yeah, a lot of between meeting work has gone on, so I second that. Anything else for good of the order? This meeting is adjourned.
Right. Thank you.